Town Clerk, are you ready? All right. All right, I would like to call this meeting to order. The Town Commission Workshop agenda on September 14, 2021. Town Commission Workshop at 5:30 p.m. Let's please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Town Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Mayfield?
Here.
Vice Mayor Campbell? Here. Commissioner Fender?
Barely.
Commissioner Kirkland?
Yes.
Commissioner Tompak?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And up first, we are lucky today to have State Representative Toby Overdorf. He's going to give a brief presentation on the appropriations process in the next session. The Martin County Legislative Delegation session is tomorrow, so welcome, and we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate being here, and thank you for having me here. So to run through some different things, the appropriations process starts with our local delegation meeting and also with a bunch of meetings with various folks from whatever municipality or organization it may be. Obviously the town has already met with us, and we will be processing and looking at some different ways that we can potentially find some ways to get some state appropriation dollars back to the town. So some of those things revolve around the process that we then put in the overall application process, to which then we were brought in front of committees. And once we're heard in a committee, then we can actually be considered for dollars. So the application goes in, a person at the appropriations committee will then say, yes, we want to hear this, no, we don't want to hear this. It then is moved forward, and we have a hearing about that particular appropriation. The process has to go like that both in the House and in the Senate. So if you can get through my silo, you still have to get through the Senate silo. And for the town of Sewell's Point, most oftentimes that's carried by Senator Harrell. So all that being said, two silos they go through, and then basically in about the last 2 weeks of session, all of the money is basically decided, and if in fact we're going to be putting forward any appropriations whatsoever. There was a rule made this last year by Speaker Sprouls, the Speaker of the Florida House, who basically said that before we had items where a person may get 1/10 or they may get a quarter of the actual appropriation that they asked for, so that at least a town would go home with something. The rule was made this last time around that you would either get 50% or higher. If you don't get 50%, you don't get anything. So that was kind of a way to look at different appropriations and make sure that what we're providing is substantial and not necessarily something that is just a nice token or a gesture. It's something that a municipality can actually do something with. So all that being said, remember, it goes to the House, it goes to the Senate, it then goes through the appropriations committees, and so literally within the last week is when we finally know if in fact there are appropriations that a municipality receives. But wait, there's more. So once we get through the House and the Senate, we sign off on the budget, we actually go through all that stuff, then all the appropriations go over and are at the governor's office. The governor has the ability to veto any appropriation that may come through. Sometimes the Florida Tax Watch also chimes in by putting a project on the turkey list, basically, and they then put that out there so that we may or may not get the monies, even though we've gone through the House, we've gone through the Senate, we've gone through all the lobbying whatsoever. But wait, there's more. So let's say you do get vetoed by the governor, or your project doesn't make it all the way through. There are also opportunities then for various grants that come through DEP. I know for the resiliency that we're looking at here within the town of Sewell's Point and looking at the roadway, that's an opportunity that may be available to you all. Even if we don't get it from the pots within the House and the Senate, we actually could get it from DEP, and you've already been quote unquote vetted by going through the process within the House and the Senate. So I realize it's a bit confusing. It's kind of old hat to me, but I am happy to answer any questions that may be available. And I know that we all are already working on some forms. I want to introduce my aide. Joey Plants is over here. If you can't get me, please feel free to get him. He's also will be in Tallahassee with me. And he is the master at putting these forms together and getting them in, and then we work together with the various people in Tallahassee to make sure that we get this stuff moving forward. So again, any questions I can answer for you.
Yes, I have a question. It has to do with when you're evaluating these appropriation requests, what criteria are you using? What I'm thinking about is what level of progress do you have to show for the grant or the appropriation to really be approved? I assume you're looking for things that are, somewhere along the line in terms of engineering or almost ready for construction. You're not looking for conceptual designs at that point. Is there any criteria you can talk to us about on that?
Certainly. The reality is that with appropriations, it's really about the member relationship with the appropriations committees. It is about the project in that has the municipality invested in the project already? Is there some kind of a match that's local? Those things do definitely play into it. And additionally, the amount of money that's being requested. I can't think of a member project or a member request that was regularly given out for $2 million or for $5 million. Frankly, the numbers that we're talking about are anywhere from $500,000 to $1.5 million are typically your appropriations projects. Sometimes, as a member becomes more senior and the relationships get there, you can get a higher amount than that, but typically that's roughly the amount. Now, there have been exceptions to that rule, most certainly, and the criteria, as you asked for, is more of how that member is able to justify it with the various people on the appropriations committee. A good project obviously is going to consider more merit associated with it, but I have to be honest with you, it's really about relationship, relationship, and relationship.
Okay.
May I ask one other question? No, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was curious about, wanted to make sure I understood the distinction between the appropriations and what might be available from the state from the ARP funding.
I'm sorry, ARP funding is?
The American Rescue Plan?
Well, we're actually going to be divvying that up this year, but from the state perspective, the variety of municipalities are going to be receiving portions of that directly. I'm not familiar with how much Sewell's Point is going to be receiving on that, or frankly, the exact dollar amount from Martin County. However, I do know that will be up to that municipality. Additionally, the state is going to be receiving funds, some of which we put into the resiliency fund last year that we set up in the Florida House. It was $100 million annual budget associated with that will be for resiliency projects. And then we're going to be looking at some other funding mechanisms that we can do this year. And I'm hoping that some of that will be for septic to sewer issues, for other things along those lines that we may be able to get out there. That has not been decided upon yet, though, for this session.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thanks for coming, Toby. It's great to see you, buddy.
Thank you.
Two easy questions, I think. But some people say that when we get state appropriations money for infrastructure projects, we're counting on other people's money. But aren't we truly just trying to get Sewell's Point and your district money back that we all have paid in our sales tax? First question. And second question is it helpful when there are appropriation committees and they have meetings for someone from Sewell's Point, like the mayor or town manager, to come and make an appearance? Do you find that that's helpful in your efforts?
So to answer your second question first, it's always helpful to have folks from the municipality or from the organization that's requesting the funds to be available to either A, answer questions, or B, to actually meet with various committee members. It's always great to put a face with a name and the actual dollar request. Certainly that would be a great thing to have in Tallahassee. The other part of that is a lot of the funds not only come from your sales tax dollars, but they also come from home sales, from other items that are coming before us, and we obviously collect that revenue and then distribute it back to the various municipalities, most certainly. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Any other questions? I have one quick question. Can you just, what determines the amount of money that is available in a year typically? What is the what makes it large? It's related to the budget, correct? Is this the afterwards, the budget
Yep.
has been, okay.
So you're asking what's available for appropriations?
Yes, and isn't it after the budget is it leftover?
No,
after
it's
the-
actually during the budgetary process. So we have preliminary budget meetings. In fact, we just recently had a joint legislative budget meeting that starts to lay out what it looks like that we'll have available for a budget.
Okay.
This past year, when we went into session and we started to go through our committees, we thought we were going to be well below the previous year in budget, and we didn't think that we'd be anywhere near whatsoever. So they were recommending to us that we have an incredibly minimal amount of appropriation requests. This year, we believe that, and to follow on that, by the end of the year, we were well above where we had been the previous year. In fact, we broke $100 billion for the very first time ever in the state of Florida. And that was largely in part to a lot of the federal assistance that we did receive as a result of pandemic aid. That being said, now into this year, where they're doing forecasts, on budgets, we typically don't know the exact dollar number that each appropriation chairman will have to work with until we're usually about a third of the way to as much as halfway through our committees / session time. So we'll know a lot more when January rolls out as to how much money is available. That being said, appropriation forms are due long before that time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, thank you very much for taking the time to come here and answering our questions. It's a confusing process, and I appreciate the enlightenment. So thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a good day.
All right. We are moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. I think the town manager guided you guys on filling out the forms. Just a few reminders. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. When you come up to the podium, state your name and address, please. Direct your comments to the mayor and commission as a whole, and comments to the audience are not permitted. And we will have a bell-friendly reminder when we hit that 3-minute mark, so you guys can wrap it up. Please note we don't engage with dialogue, and we don't engage in dialogue. And first up, we have Jonathan Shantos, please. Come up to the podium. Your name and address.
Yes, Jonathan Shaughness, 83 South Sewalls Point Road. I'm going to try to keep this as general as I can because I know that the commission, at least 3 members, are not necessarily fans of nuance. So I wanted to comment on the town manager's approach to taxpayers at the last meeting towards the end. Some of you are looking at me like you kind of don't know what I'm talking about, but I know all 5 of you know what I'm talking about. There were a couple of comments that were made, and this all relates, you'll get to this later as it relates to the pay increase and stuff, so I won't bore you with numbers because the only one who was able to actually point it out was James. Government employees don't need to get beat up over their salary. That's interesting to me because private citizens in private businesses get beat up all the times at their salaries and are still mandated to do their jobs or be fired or terminated in whatever process that may entail. You don't want a team that gets demotivated because someone is after them. Also interesting, have any of you worked in the service industry? Go behind a bar, you don't do that well, especially in a place like, say, the Keys. You want to know what happens? You get fired because someone is there to take your job. People who work for very little amounts of money work under tremendous pressure every single day, 50, 60 hours a week, not knowing if they're going to have a job, okay? And they still perform it quite well. Another thing, no one ever got rich being a public servant, speaks for itself, supremely ignorant, I can say that. I mean, really, that's just, you can't even say anything to that. What bothered me the most, though, is that other than just treating taxpayers wrong, the way she lectured you, I don't know if any of you picked up just how much she insulted not only the taxpayer, but you guys. She serves at your pleasure. Okay, just like you serve at our pleasure because we can vote you out or vote you in. That's the way the system works. For her to say that you're going to have a tough time, wow, that's ignorant too. Because you can go through a process to find somebody else and possibly save money. And to top it all off, I just want to say, I'm a small business owner. She said that, it's been a tough year for government employees. You know who it's been really tough on? The taxpayer. Small businesses that have evaporated out of thin air because government shut them down and they weren't able to function. People lost their entire life savings. Government employees still got paid. They're still going to get their pensions. They're still going to get their benefits. This attitude towards taxpayers has to stop, because if it doesn't, you'll get more resentment.
Thank you, Jonathan. Up next, we have Bonnie Flint. Would you please come up to the podium? Bonnie Flint.
I'll be uncharacteristically quick for a change, and more procedural than anything sensitive or whatever. But I've been coming to these meetings for a bunch of years, here and there, when there's been something of interest. And I have a real problem with how you handle the comments from the public, that you don't address the issues as we go along. I mean, you all kind of glaze over while this section is, you're made to sit through this. But there's no back and forth. There's no opportunity to knock some of this around and reach, some conclusions, some new ideas, whatever. And this goes on and on. I've served on many committees. I've been to many meetings. Martin County takes questions and offers reactions as you go along. City of Stewart. This is the most convoluted setup that we seem to have here. I'm glad that the public is welcome to speak, but it doesn't make for grappling with issues. And I think the formatting we ought to consider some changes. I know time is of the essence and, you want to be efficient, but just hearing a litany of, it almost feels like a grievance committee, or it shouldn't all be grievances, but I think you all need to address things or give some feedback, because for people to come spew off at things that matter to them and hear nothing I think it's kind of impolite, for one thing. So if there's anyone I can talk to about maybe tweaking the way we handle the back and forth with public comments, I mean, I'd be happy to volunteer to help or sit with somebody on that.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Gretchen Gable.
Good evening. My name is Gretchen Gable. I live at 167 South Sewell's Point Road, and I just wanted to speak tonight to follow up on a field meeting that I participated in with the town manager, Capra, and Consor. The meeting was arranged in part due to my request to discuss my driveway columns, lighting, and landscaping in reference to the project. In reviewing the audio from the town meeting on September 18th, the board approved the restoration of my 4 driveways, columns, gates, and lighting that were affected due to the road project. In addition, I also spoke with Michelle, town manager, I'm not sure if I can say her name, okay. The landscaping in front of the wall along South Sewell's was also agreed upon to be planted using a mix of podocarpus and seacord grass. The irrigation was also to be restored, which has begun but is not yet completed. I wanted to express, as we did during the field meeting last week on September 9th at 4:15, that we expect the town to do as they promised. All columns should be raised to look uniform with gates that function properly, and all driveways pitched to allow access in and out of our property without trailers or cars and trucks scraping the bottom. In addition, we want to be sure we are not left with standing water concerns when the project is complete. The town manager, CapTech, and Consor have assured us that they don't think these previously mentioned concerns will occur. I am cautiously optimistic. I understand the town wants to save money, but I am also aware that the funds were approved at that meeting, as well as a 20% contingency. My hope is that at the project's end, my property will be whole again and done correctly as promised. I hope my residents, along with my neighbors on Mandalay and South Sewell's, will serve as a stellar project model that is aesthetically pleasing and functionally beneficial to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen. Up next, we have Roz DeGraff.
Hi, good evening. Roz DeGraff, 9 Castle Hill Way. Basically, my comment had to do with Mr. Fender. First of all, I want to thank you for responding to the comments that I do send your way. Whether we agree or not, I appreciate the tone of your responses, and they're informative, and I thank you for that. However, there has been occasion where a different member of this commission has felt it was in their best interest to contact my place of work and comment to the person that I work for about comments that I have made on a Facebook page. The comments in question had absolutely nothing derogatory. It was factual about our taxes are normally going up because the values of our properties are going up. And that you need to be aware of that when I know it's 1 or 2 points or whatever it is, but we're already going up because of the values in the past year have gone up considerably. But I do take very strong offense, someone calling my employer, it's not employer because I'm not employed by them, but I'm an independent contractor, and making comments about things that I said and that it was not in our office's best interest to be making comments like that. We all live in Sewell's Point, the ones who are making comments, and we have every right to speak our opinions. I still believe we do have freedom of speech in this country, and it certainly needs to be reflective here in the town of Sewell's Point. And I thank you for listening, and I hope things will change. And I hope I'll get an apology, but we'll see. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I believe Town Clerk, is this on non-agenda or agenda? You had one that you were reading. Is this related to the contract renewal, or is this related to something else? Okay, then we'll save that till right before it's really close by. Okay. Moving on to additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda. Are there any of those? Vice Mayor?
I just want to clarify and repeat, and I appreciate the town manager bringing up, that there will be an opportunity to speak to things that are on the agenda after those items are discussed. So just hang in there, Bonnie. I know sometimes you want an instant answer, but sometimes you got to wait to the end, you know? And like the Cracker Jack, surprise at the bottom.
I believe that we do the comments on the agenda item before we discuss it. So I have them sitting here for before. You said after. Okay. All right, moving on to approval of the agenda. It is not a voting meeting, so seeing no deletions or changes, I assume there's approval. All right. We are going to move on to discussion. Up first is item 6A, consideration for renewal of the legal services contract. Town Manager, would you please introduce?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, before you is a contract that is existing from our town attorney, Glenn Torsivia and group. At this time, we are asking for your recommendations if you would like to see any changes to that contract. We believe that we've received a thumbs up across the board from everybody, that you're happy with it. The town attorney is asking for no changes.
The fire department approved.
Yes. I'm going to wait a second. So with your approval, if we get a consensus, we will move forward just putting the new contract on the next agenda for you to vote on.
And that's on the consent agenda at the next meeting.
Correct.
Okay, just so everyone knows where to look.
Unless there would be something you would want to discuss, and then we can change it to discussion.
I have actually just one small point. Glenn, in the contract, it says the law office of Glenn Torsivia and Associates, PA. Has your name changed? Because when I see your letterhead, it says,
Yeah, it has, and the First Amendment actually reflects that
okay. Okay.
which was 2017.
I figured you had it under control. I was just going to point that out. All right. Oh, Vice Mayor.
Yes, a couple people in the community have asked me this, and I know the answer, but I just wanted Glenn to answer. With the possible unionization of our police force, are you and your firm HR experts and able to handle that process?
Yes and yes. We have collective bargaining on Friday with the PBA, have collective bargaining Thursday with the SEIU. We do a lot of collective bargaining and a lot of HR. It's probably 40% of what we do.
Thank you.
All right. Excellent. All right. So, Commissioner Fender.
I was just going to ask Glenn, just remind me how long you've been on contract with the town of Sewell's Point?
2007. I was only 9 years old when I started.
Okay, good, all right. And I understand you're not asking for a change to the existing contract, no price increase?
I'm happy. If you're happy, I'm happy.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, I think if we all agree, we can say town manager, bring it back for the consent agenda next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right. On to item 6B, consideration for renewal of town manager contract. First, we're going to take our public comment. So up first, we have Kathy Muskoski.
Kathy Muskoski. Good evening, Commissioners. Ms. Berger told you amid rumor claims that she was not asking $150,000 in her annual salary. She requests her base salary be increased to $138,000. That is over 25% increase. October 2019, she declined Sewell's Point insurance. She was offered $110,000 instead of the $97,000 offered originally. It was agreed the town pay $0 for her insurance. Now she wants $6,000 a year for her self-funded insurance, and this added to her base salary becomes $144,000, a 31% increase. She wants her $200 car allowance doubled to $400, making our cost $148,800, or over 33% increase. Add to that her cell phone allowance request of $125 a month, and that brings the total to $150,330 before the town's retirement contribution and tax are factored in. You said you hired Ms. Berger at $110,000 because she would earn money back. How? By doing our grant writing. The 2021 budget shows outside grant writers cost us $341,000. A comprehensive plan rewrite. Comprehensive planning services were contracted at $80,000 a year. Our CPA, while good, was replaced with a colleague the new one is good, with a colleague at $56,000 for 24 hours, and then her title became financial director. Her hours increased to 32, and her total compensation, $91,800. Yet we continue to pay $27,000 a year for audit services. It seems to many residents we are paying dearly. A 2 to 5% base salary increase might have been appropriate. And concerning the contract, I would like to point out, and it's not to be overlooked, we ask you to strike the words that she has added to her termination clauses. The words are, by a vote of at least 3 commissioners at a public meeting. She could argue she has rights to a hearing. This could undermine that she is an at-will employee. People with due process rights cannot be terminated at will.
Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kathy. Up next, we have Paula Bongino. Come up to the podium, please.
She's in the
They're in the other room.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Go with someone else.
I'll see if she comes back quickly. Oh, okay.
About a 10-second.
Chief Tina. Chief Tina. Her husband is up next, so if you wanted to get him ready, that would be great. Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. Paula Bongino. I would like to comment on the proposed contract renewal for the town manager. Just to compare, Governor DeSantis' salary is listed at $134,181 for the year of 2020. The population of Florida is over 20 million. The town manager is proposing a salary of $138,000, a 25% increase in pay. The population of Sewell's Point is about 3,000. I worked in the financial industry for many years. Increases of this magnitude are unheard of. My husband was a Secret Service agent traveling around the world, protecting the President of the United States, working over 80 hours a week. 25% increase? No way. Even his overtime was limited. I strongly oppose this contract renewal, and I hope the commissioners will do the same. Last, I would like to raise a concern with Commissioner Kaya's gabbling of my husband, Dan, at the previous meeting. Your intimidating tactics to silence us will not work. I have searched for your rules, the rules that you spoke of last time, and they are non-existent. This is completely unacceptable for a public official to behave in this manner and to lie to the citizens that she represents. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you.
Up next, Dan. He's up.
Good to see you again. First, I want to just echo the comments of my wife. I strongly object to the way I was treated here last time by many of you I'm a taxpayer here. I'm a taxpayer. I pay a lot of money in taxes. I like the community. And the fact that you all gavelled me out last time because you didn't appreciate my comments, you said, well, we're not supposed to address the commissioners, then who are we supposed to, what's the point of the meeting? What am I supposed to meet you in the first watch? I mean, I'm not kidding. You know, you get to sit up there and you look down on us like we work for you. And I want to say, Commissioner Fender, I appreciate sincerely you last time letting me criticize you for the tax. That was very nice of you to do that. You said no, let him talk. It's not personal. You're a nice guy. I just strongly object to your vote on the taxes. We're citizens here, guys and ladies. This is a small town. This isn't Manhattan. I object to that. I'm stormed out of here, and I apologize. I shouldn't have done that. I should have stayed. But that wasn't right. I didn't say anything wrong. I was addressing you on substantive town issues. Gaveling me out. You're the mayor. This isn't a monarchy. And I want to say I strongly object to that. It's not personal. I'm sure Michelle does a good job. But these salary demands are absurd. A 25% increase with the coronavirus pandemic and a potential recession around the corner? Guys, we're not a piggy bank, okay? We're not. I like this town. It's a great town. I find it to be managed quite well. Tina does an amazing job in your police department, and I think you're all very nice people. But the hard reality is I just got back from Martin County speaking there. They want more money. The federal government wants more money. You guys want more money. We're not your piggy bank. You live here too. I need you to do the right thing, not the easy thing. We're not a piggy bank. And I'm sorry, the town manager is not a position that when I was a Secret Service agent, I know my wife not to relitigate that, but I didn't make that kind of money. I mean, I got dengue fever in Panama for $110,000 a year as a journeyman. This is insane. And some of the cell phones and then the cars, all this other stuff, this is a small town. If you were managing Manhattan, maybe. I'm sorry, but we're not a piggy bank here. We're the residents of this is a small town. We should not be subjected to these ridiculous salary demands. They're insane. It's a small town, guys. This is not Manhattan. And again, one last thing. I appreciate the opportunity last time to come out here and speak, but you know, there were a lot of people upset, and I feel like you're ignoring us outside of Commissioner Campo. I do. I haven't known James that long, but I feel like you're all ignoring us. Like we're talking, you see the Facebook page and the other stuff, and you're just ignoring us like we're not even here. And I really am offended by that. I bought that house at top dollar. I didn't get in that house at $200,000 a year 20 years ago. It's my money, and I wish you'd treat it like other people's money a little more responsibly. And thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. All right, we are moving on. That's it?
Mayor, I have one to read in.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You're correct. Please do that.
I am unable to attend the meeting, but would kindly request that the town clerk read my comments into the record. It appears that the town of Sewell's Point is moving in the wrong direction. We, the town, are engaged in promoting many costly projects, nice-to-have improvements. The expenditures will put the town in a position of most probably unrecoverable debt service. The thin population and small number of housing units makes large projects questionable in the best-case scenario. It seems inconceivable to even entertain the thought of U.S. federal grants with all the potential mechanisms connected to these open-ended agreements. Federal grants are often connected to a hidden agenda, yet to be written rules by agency bureaucrats who then would retain enforcement power that could change the entire character and nature of Sewell's Point as we know it. I would say applicants beware. The increase in the millage rate simply means raising property taxes. It would appear that this is a done deal. If we must increase taxes for currently approved projects, then I would submit the Commission must institute a hiring freeze in addition, no salary increases except for inflation related to cost of living raises based on CPI projects and approved by the majority vote of 3 of the Commission. The subject of the town manager agreement is the final item for the meeting. I have believed since originally reviewing applications that Manager Berger was and remains an activist. Why are there so many high-cost projects suddenly appearing in less than 2 years? Are we under the impression that former managers Walker and Kellogg were not performing their duties? Or are these more nice to have that this tiny population that could be called a village with 209 inhabitants in the highest of seasons? 2,009 inhabitants in the highest of seasons. As far as the flooded area on South Sewell Point Road, I feel that the town attorney should look at these transactions and see if local real estate did their due diligence. And that is if these properties were in a flood zone or have a history that would require a declaration of disclosure to potential buyers. Anything less could be considered a form of deception. Depending upon the age of these transactions, the town might be able to apply legally for damages in the form of forced construction and damage. This did not happen overnight. I have been here many years, and this seems like a relatively recent disruption. As someone with a long history of corporate business experience, and also having 2 small businesses that we are experiencing serious mismanagement in Sewell's Point, as elsewhere in Martin County. See the waste management contract where the Commission took the highest bid at a disservice to the residents who must now foot the bill. I don't see how these projects could ever come to fruition. I must say the town commission and their staff are acting in an irresponsible, reckless, and unsustainable manner. The most important word is unsustainable. J.K. Joyce, Palmetto Driveway.
Thank you, Town Clerk. All right. That is it for the public comment on the contract renewal. So I'm going to lead the discussion. Before we get to the town manager contract, I wanted to address the annual performance appraisal evaluation. If you look at the memo in the agenda, the town manager attached the April 2020 evaluations as the most recent. I think that might have been a mistake. Your most recent one was November 2020. And I have copies of those, should anybody want one. Put those aside. Back to the current evaluations. The town attorney emailed the commissioners the blank evaluation form, and I just got them all back. Commissioner Fender got in by the skin of his teeth. We have it in. I compiled the spreadsheet, and since his was late, I did not get his. I'll read his total separately, but I made a spreadsheet, as the town attorney has done in the past, of all the information, and I'm going to read off the average score per category. The scale is 1 to 5, with 1 being unsatisfactory and 5 being outstanding. Average score for relationship with town commission is 3.75. Intergovernmental cooperation is 4.25. Citizen communication, 3.5. Budgeting and administering the town's finances, 3.5. Compliance with Florida statutes, town charter, town ordinances, town resolutions, town personnel policies, 4.25. Leadership, 4.25. Operational efficiency, 4.25. Judgment, 4. Planning, 4.25. And overall effectiveness and performance, 4.25. Yes. That's for the category. And then I will read off the average score per commissioner on the same scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being unsatisfactory and 5 being outstanding. Commissioner Tompeck, 4.4. Commissioner Fender, 3.9. Commissioner Mayfield, 4.6. Commissioner Campo, 2.2. And Commissioner Kurzman, 4.9. I'm going to turn in these evaluations in their full format and the summary spreadsheet to the town clerk for public record. Any comments from my fellow commissioners on the evaluations themselves only? Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping next year we could get a fillable form so you don't have to look at my awful handwriting.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the average, last time was 4.42, bottom right?
4.03. Now, that's not everyone. I'd need to take it home and put in.
I can do the math fast.
Who said madam? Oh, yes. Oh, there you go. Okay, yes.
So 4 even is what I got on that last total you read out.
Well, I took the averages that you just said and then just divided by 5. So that's what I'm getting as a
3.82. Okay. Yes, on the spot here, I'm not trusting my math, so I would have to take it home. But so town clerk, I will give these to you later, and I'll let you or town attorney put together the spreadsheet. How does that sound? I can email it to you. Okay, I see no comments on the evaluations, so we're going to move on to the consideration of the town manager's contract renewal. Okay, in preparation for this discussion, I went back and reviewed prior town meetings. I want to thank Commissioner Tompeck in particular for bringing up the subject of the contract for discussion at the February 9th workshop. There was a lengthy discussion, and it was determined that all the commissioners at that point wanted the town manager to continue to work for the town, and the town manager also wanted to continue to work for Sewell's Point. I asked the commission to consult with the town manager on their own terms as to the terms of the arrangement. We would discuss it at another meeting when their thoughts were better formulated, hence it on tonight's agenda. Well, the past couple months have been busy and time-consuming. As all of us here know, the town is in the budget process along with the process of a proposed tax increase. There have been COVID issues to deal with. We're in the final stages of the first phase of our major resiliency project. Then all of a sudden, the town is presented with the new terms of the town manager's contract. And let's be honest, the terms are, at face value, a big ask. As the mayor, I take responsibility for not meeting with the town manager and town attorney a couple months ago and for not getting this information out there sooner. While it would still most likely have been the same terms, all the commissioners would have had more time to discuss with the town manager, communicate accurate information to the residents, discuss options, etc. I apologize. For while I may have satisfied the basic requirements to address the consideration of contract renewal, I don't believe I did it in the best manner for the town. So in that vein, and after lots of thinking and discussion with residents, I had an idea this morning that I ran past the attorney and town manager. I was exploring the option of renewing the town manager's contract on the exact same terms as it is now for 3 months, so the contract would go to January 21st, 2022. Then readdress this proposed contract come December. The town attorney said that a 3-month renewal is an easy enough change to make to the current contract, but most importantly, the town manager said that she would be willing to do this option. She emphasized to me that while holding firm with her contract request, she truly believes the town comes first. I believe at this point in time, this is the best option for the town. As I mentioned above, there are major projects currently going on, and there are grants and appropriations requests, all of which benefit financially and qualitatively from continuity of service. I also don't think budget time, tax time, is the ideal time to be making an important decision such as town manager contract renewal. Extending the current contract 3 months will put us in a better time frame for this discussion and future renewal, non-renewal discussions when it's January and not September. The town and the residents deserve a thoughtful decision. This time would also enable commissioners and the town manager to feel out other options should they come to the conclusion that an agreement is not possible. And fiscally, this is everybody's primary concern. I hear that over and over. This is the option that only benefits the town. For the next 3 months, after the current contract ends, there's no increase in any cost related to the town manager. And then we'll be right back where we are now. I would look to my fellow commissioners for your thoughts on this. And obviously, if 2 of you concur with this decision, we could point staff towards that option. So I gave it a lot of thought. Commissioner Fender.
So I certainly like the idea of decompressing the financial decision right on the back of the previous financial decision we've had to make painfully. But I have a bunch of questions then. One is, and I'll just spit off the top of my head, and then we can talk about them. Will we still review input into the contract tonight that we've thought about?
I think we should just readdress
Okay.
exact same, she has the same terms, do the same thing in December when it is going to be better thought out. We are not all heated up from the tax increase. And then that way, if she chooses not to stay, if we choose this is not the option, there is time to explore other options so we do not lose money with, oh, we have a project that's supposed to be completed in a few weeks.
Okay.
And so.
Next thing is,
Yeah.
There are budget considerations about other staff besides Michelle, and I'm wondering what that means for the process for the budget finalization.
I believe that this is always considered beyond the town attorney or Michelle. The budget was always created and her stuff was with the 2.87 millage rate, obviously, but this won't affect anything except bring the budget down, because for the next 3 months, because there was always, I don't know exactly what you put in for the town manager position when you were creating, or the finance director, what you put in.
All right, and, all right, let me think about that for a while, but I like the idea of taking this off the table for a little while.
Commissioner Tompeck?
Yeah, I agree. I think, I know I'd like a little more time to evaluate what we have here. The other thing, I'm hoping that we can go ahead and put the current review comments in, because I'd like to look at those as well. I hope that when I know when I do performance evaluations at work, one of the things I always do is to, identify improvement opportunities. And I'm hoping that we took that extra time to do that, because I think that's important. When I see a performance evaluation where the guy is rated excellent across the board and no comments, you didn't do your job. So I'm hoping that we all had the chance to put down some improvement opportunities that we can certainly discuss and go through when we get back to the contract. A lot of information in the package here, and it's hard to you're kind of a little bit bowled over with the amount of detail and data here, and it takes a little bit of time to sort that out and make sure that it's relevant to what we're looking at. So I would appreciate a little bit more time, and I agree with going in that direction.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kurzman?
I concur with Commissioner Fender and Commissioner Tompick that we should just extend the extra 3 months, take some time, look things over, and make the right decision at that point.
Okay.
And this way, when I came on board, my first commission meeting, the town manager was already being replaced at that time. It took us about a year to replace that town manager. And the applications that came in, it was everything from a good-humored truck driver to people that, work in a dentist office to clean teeth. And, at the end of the day, we went through 2 rounds where it was, the first round, because we put in the maximum amount we'd be willing to pay is $100,000 at that time. And what we had come in was not one person really was qualified, and we were about to settle for somebody, which I think would have been a big mistake at that time. The more I thought about it, the more I thought this guy would really be underqualified. The second best candidate that was in there, which we couldn't even consider, he couldn't run this town if he wanted to. He had no clue. And nice guy. They were all nice, really nice people and stuff, but they weren't qualified. And that's what, when you advertise for $100,000 to pay a town manager, that's what you get. And that was back when it was more of an employer's market where you could pick and choose your employer. We raised the bar to $110,000. Well, we brought in people that were pretty much had experience as town managers. They were terminated for sexual harassment. And those were the better candidates that we got. And when you looked, and the more we researched through Google and everything, these people were just, wouldn't be a good fit for the town. And it came down to 2 quality candidates at the end, maybe 3, but only 2 of them really qualified at the time. And right now, it's the opposite. Right now, it is definitely an employee market. Employees, there's an employee shortage at all ends, all levels. It doesn't matter if people are qualified at that certain end, it's not going to be cheap to replace. If the manager should not be worked out, it's not going to be a pleasant experience, and it's not going to be a line of people lined up for this job that they're going to come and want to work at $110,000. And at least we have a proven commodity here, but I would like to give it the extra 3 months.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Kurzman. Commissioner Fender?
I'll hold my thoughts.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I have no objection.
Then I will just want to add that, I've certainly been in a lot of conversations during the week on this topic and seen a lot of comments. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I still hear the mistaken comment about doubling taxes. That's a crazy statement. But I would like to iterate that I did see comments about town manager should immediately resign based on the fact that she's put forth this number. And I would like to also comment that replacing a town manager is not free. And Commissioner Kurzman sort of mentioned it a little bit. It will cost us a significant amount of money in the thousands to host another process to replace any town manager. And that will not only come with cost of actual hiring and the process that we go through, which is excruciating, and we went through 2 rounds, but it will also impact ongoing activities of the town as well. So I just want to make, the point I'm making is it won't be free. We won't be saving millage rate to just summarily dismiss the content of the conversation. So.
That's a good point. Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Well, given that, I think there's direction to move forward that option. I believe, Town Attorney, you said there was a pretty simple thing that will be coming on the agenda for the next meeting. It's just one form that changes the dates at the top. And then
Very short and sweet.
Okay, excellent. And then we can approve that. And then as the mayor, we will work on our process. As a mayor, I will work on the process of going through this. And by that meeting, Vice Mayor, when I listened to the February meeting, there was a lot of talk about goals and achievable goals that the town manager could achieve that would, give her the experience needed to live up to this job. So this is the opportunity, and I can take that on. But if you wanted to hand some ideas over, that we could put in for the future, that would be wonderful. All right, let's move on to commission and staff closing comments. Any staff comments, Town Manager?
Madam Mayor, we do have some staff comments. I'm going to let our finance director tell you about some great news.
I have so many comments. Sorry, Madam Mayor, Commission. I wanted to let you know, so today's been a busy day. We started with our external auditors. So the auditors are here. They've started their preliminary work. We did talk about the requirements for those, and so it looks like we may be forced into the single audit for both federal and state levels, depending on the amount of expenditures that were put through each of those grants. As you know, the single audit is required for any expenditures in excess over $750,000. The external audit is required by Florida statute for any municipality over $250,000. So that's underway. We're starting that work. We also received our first distribution of the ARPA funds. Okay. So $557,450 has been distributed from the state, and so we have those funds. And we have also received our second disbursement from the HMGP grant, that large $877,000 grant. The receipts total for that have matched up to $371,000, which is 42% of that grant. We also received notification today that, and I believe that's on the dais, the email there, for an award for the first phase, the planning phase for the drainage improvement project in North Sewell's Point. The town manager and engineer made application and supported the ranking of this and other Sewell's Point resiliency projects during the countywide local mitigation strategy meetings, also known as the LMS. I'm sorry? Oh,
No.
Oh,
thought that was-
Police, radio.
oh, sorry.
They're coming to get you.
I have Vulcan hearing, so, so a copy of that email should be at each of your seats. You can see the award is for $64,153, which is 47% of the estimated project total. That means that the other portion of that project would be contributions made from the town, so that would be the town's portion. So we're awaiting on other awards for the South Sewell's Point project. At some point, we will need to bring you that award and look for your guidance, as right now, the finances would need to be evaluated for the capital improvement plan because it doesn't fall within the guidance of that resolution that was limited for capital fund projects.
Yes, so, Madam Mayor and Commissioner, this is one of the 6 grants that I applied for in-house myself. There's a couple that the finance directors applied for, and of course, all engineering information that would need to be available for these grants came from our town engineer who has just walked in. The 3 of the 6 have been awarded already, so those are great wins. $50,000 from DEO, $75,000 for the resiliency planning, and that $75,000 I just asked about extending that to $100,000 and verbally got the approval to extend that to $100,000 with the help of Joe for some additional engineering information. And then this award that's in front of you now, we also have the LMS requests for grants for South Sewell's Point Road resiliency projects as well. So fingers crossed, we have received some good verbal questioning, which means that that's typically indicative that we are on our way to potentially another award. But certainly, we're making progress on the resiliency projects that you have outlined as priorities.
Excellent. Thank you, Town Manager. Yay, good job, Finance Director. Any others? Town Manager, any other staff comments?
No, I thank you for your consideration. I look forward to the extent of work and being able to complete the projects within this 3-month timeline that you have offered me for the extension. We've got great things happening, and it'll give us a good time to celebrate those items. And as far as the information overload, what I had to do is reach out to some third-party agencies, which is what I did. I used a recruiter agency for one of the survey and Florida League of Cities for the other 2. And many cities and municipalities have a human resource department that would create that presentation for you and be able to offer you market analysis. And so for my purposes, unfortunately, it had to come from me. But we did have Glenn vet the information to make sure it was true and accurate, and he also reached out to some recruiters. So I'm glad you were able to read through it clearly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any commission comments? Vice Mayor.
Yes, I want to thank our town attorney, Glenn Torsivia, for not putting us in a difficult position of having to wrestle with an increase. What staff needs to understand is that we feel pressure. Everyone that showed up tonight, everyone that spoke, everyone that clapped, your voices were heard tonight. And I would just encourage you to stay active. And Bonnie, I agree with you. Is Bonnie still here? No? Okay, Bonnie's still there. Our job is to listen. Citizen communication is one of the low scores of the town manager. Communication is half speaking, half listening. We need to hear your voices. This is what's going on in our world right now, whether it's Me Too, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the rascals in the Capitol, storming the Capitol and doing dumb things. People want their voices heard, and gaveling people down is a real sense of rejection. So I'll just share one thing. When I was mayor, there was a citizen that came up during non-agenda items and looked at me in the eye and said, in front of everyone, Mayor Campo mailed me a package of human feces along with a hate note. And I was like, I did? But I let him speak for 3 minutes. as strange as it sounds, because it was easier to just hear that, and spoke to the police chief about it. It was actually an event that happened like almost a year before that. Of course, I had nothing to do with anything like that. But people have their 3 minutes, and if they want to say something that's, borderline annoying or personal, that's kind of why we're here. You get to yell at the first base coach when you go to baseball, and you get to talk to government officials and try to hold them accountable. And I think that we need to continue to work on hearing our residents, because you are the ones that pay everyone's salary. So, thank you.
Commissioner Tompak.
Yeah, actually, I've got two quick items. Since we have received some of the ARP funds, I'm sure we're going to start at least the initial look at the septic to sewer conversion. And with the permission of my other town commissioners, I'd like to participate with Joe to make sure that I understand it and make sure that we're asking the right questions and make sure we're getting the best possible deal. So if you don't have any objections, I would like to do that.
I think you're the most qualified.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds good.
The second item, and I think it's an important one, about the public comment and addressing the public comment. I think it becomes not so much, it's a practical issue in terms of, running a meeting and being able to get to the agenda items that you need to process through. If we spent the time addressing each of the individuals that talk, we would never get through our agenda. Now, while some of those issues may be major issues that affect more than one person, in a lot of cases, it may be a singular issue which would tie up the entire commission and not let us get to our work. So it shouldn't be construed as something personal. It really is just being able to get through the business of the meetings. And even with that, it's still taking us, in a lot of cases, 3.5 hours. So it shouldn't be taken personally. It's not that we're don't want to, and trust me, we're sitting up here holding on to our chairs, not wanting to say something. We really are. So I wouldn't take it personal. It's just the way we need to run a meeting so we can get through the business.
Thank you, Commissioner Tompak. And to that point, and since I am the sitting mayor, I feel it necessary to address. I watched two other mayors before me, and they both had different styles. And as the mayor, this is how you run the meeting. This is part of the position. One of the mayors was more cut and dry. This is when you talk. This is when you don't talk. Still very interested in what the residents had to say. Another mayor was more, let's do some at the beginning. Let's do some at the end. So it is kind of personal to the person running the meeting. I very much value everything and every person talking. I try very hard to respond to emails. I will call you. You can call me. I say that. I've said that up here before in the comments. My phone number and my email address are on the website. Call me. I will pick it up. I will talk to you. I will respond to you. Occasionally, yes, we all have lives, and we are not paid in this position, and so we have to juggle those outside things, but I make the effort, and I really care, but I also care in a well-run meeting. I've had other commissioners who are like, make sure, when I became mayor, well, you got to make sure those meetings don't run too long. You got to run. So it's a balance. It's a balance, and we try our best. And this is the way to get everybody heard fairly. What you do for one, you got to do for everybody. And I firmly believe that because we're all in it together and we're all equal. So hit me up after the meetings. I'm here. I can talk. I'm ready to listen. So Commissioner Kurzman.
Yeah, anybody's welcome to call me on my phone. I respond to all the phone calls. I've returned every phone call that's ever come in on the town phone. I respond to the emails that come in that are directed toward me, and I will give my comments back. I'm always happy to hear another voice or another opinion whenever it's out there. A lot of times there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people have come back and said things to me, and they're given bad information. Whether it's the tax increase, I want to repeat again, the tax increase that we're receiving is strictly for the road projects. Not a penny else is going to anything else. 100%. It's not going towards staff. It's not going to improve this building. It's not going to buy more police cars. It's not going to buy more vehicles for the town. 100% is the road, to fix road and flooding. Those are our two biggest issues right now. So, that's our number one problem in Sewell's Point, and it's been a major problem. If you drive, as you go towards south, one time, if we're over by Margarita and Mandalay, if all you had to do is have a good 10-minute rainstorm, and you'd be flooded out there. And, the idea is to alleviate this, fix it properly, make the property owners whole, so that they have a beautiful home, just like it was before the project, and to go ahead and continue on being able to be safe, because when you're driving in water that's 1.5 feet deep, it's not a good thing. And I know there have been only a few people that have been against the project, but overall, everybody's been pretty much in favor, and there were some that were against it. After I talked to them, they understand what the project's about. And it's really storing water, combination storing water underground, raising the road, fixing roads that are crumbling in this town. And that's what it is about. And too many people have complained about driving through brackish water, dark water, rainwater, whatever it might be. And also there's property owners up and down their properties. Sometimes they're sitting with a foot of water for 1.5 months, 2 months. That's not acceptable. And that's what this is about. So I know I haven't talked to a lot of the people in this room, but those are the facts. And I do appreciate those who have called me, and I'm happy to spend time in the future to spend, anybody else wants to call me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, seeing no more comments, can I get a motion to adjourn? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.